I'm now delighted to be joined by Helen Hobbs and Kirsty Pretty from Hobbs Rehabilitation. Hobbs Rehabilitation operates both inpatient and outpatient facilities and is committed to improving patients' quality of life through tailored, evidence-based interventions. Helen, tell me about Hobbs Rehabilitation and the work that you do and your relationship with Coulthursts.
Nikki Ellis and myself were the co-founders of Hobbs. We set it up in 2005. We're both neurophysios by background, and our vision was to set up something that went the extra mile, putting the patient at the centre of everything that we did, but also offering a one-stop shop so the patients could come and receive all the interdisciplinary intervention that they needed: physio, OT, speech and language therapy, psychology, everything in one place.
And one of the things we're trying to do through these films is offer hope for those who have been affected by TBI. What hope are you hoping to give?
The concept of rehabilitation and people's understanding of rehabilitation has changed massively over the last 20 years. People used to think that after brain injury or spinal cord injury, you couldn't recover. We now know completely differently. We now know that science dictates that we can recover, and the importance of a coordinated interdisciplinary team in that journey of recovery is essential. The range of consequences of brain injury is huge, and some are more obvious than others. Some are more physical and some are more maybe cognitive. So helping them and supporting them on that journey early on is essential, supporting the families early on, but also giving them the education and the hope for the future that there is a road they can tread and there are people along that road with them. There's also the hidden consequences of brain injury, which are often not as prevalent and obvious at the beginning, but I think having the multidisciplinary team, so you may have problems such as fatigue, forgetfulness, difficulty focusing, and they're not very easy to see and they're not easy to measure. But if you've got a team working together, often the causes of those problems may be subtle problems with balance or problems with your vision or problems with your memory, and the team all working together can address all those different components and actually have a bigger impact on someone's life, because having a knee that doesn't work properly is, you can see it, people can treat it and we can change it. Without that support, a lot of these people wouldn't return to work and they wouldn't be able to hold down relationships because they wouldn't have the insight into some of the problems that they're having to face. But once they know the problems, they can develop strategies to change things.
So Kirsty, tell me about Hobbs' educational initiatives and the collaboration you promote between clinicians and product developers. And what does that actually entail, and what hopes they offer to people affected by TBI?
Well, we've touched on the benchmark of clinical education, which is the cornerstone of what we do, and education is absolutely critical to providing the patients with the best possible outcomes. We're known for our clinical excellence nationally and work alongside our patients and our clinicians across physiotherapy, speech and language therapy, occupational therapy. The other thing that Hobbs is known for is to be an early adopter of neurotechnology and education in terms of the clinical application.
So what does neurotechnology mean?
The robotic devices, VR devices, technology to enhance the outcomes of patients having treatment. So the evidence shows us that increased dosage, the higher number of repetitions will create better and quicker results. And so the advance of neurotechnologies has really been one of the biggest drivers for Hobbs Rehabilitation having a more global platform. We developed the MINT Academy, and MINT stands for Masterclass in Neurotechnology, and it was through our clinicians learning to use a vast array of devices which are new on the market. The MINT Academy started as an education platform for clinicians, and we now have over 500 clinicians actively using that platform from over 80 countries worldwide. So we were approached by several hundred, I'd expect, device developers to provide our clinical expertise and also provide the patients for them to test these devices on. And so what we decided to do was to tell them straight that actually a lot of the devices that they had brought to market weren't fit for purpose, And what we wanted to do was engage earlier with them and co-design these devices with our patients and with our clinical expertise, which results in better, more clinically relevant products for patients to use so that they get better quicker. For patients more locally, that are patients across Hobbs, we encourage them to sign up to our clinical trials as part of the Mint Academy. So there's a register, they can go on our website, sign up and become part of the journey so that they can access emerging technologies, give something of themselves to the developers and be part of this new revolution, a therapeutic revolution, really.
It struck my mind when I was discharged from hospital, the neurologist saying, where you are after 3 years in your recovery is where you'll be for life. And I can see you both shaking your head. As I was in my head, I was going to say this, I could say that you're both going to sit there shaking your head, because it sounds like my accident was nearly 15 years ago, and it's already the neurotechnology, I started to ask you what it meant, it was not around then. So, what do you think has been the biggest advance, as a final question, or where do you think it could go? Because clearly you don't believe 3 years is the end of the road.
I think the biggest advance for me and our patients is the recognition that people can keep covering over a longer period of time. And because that is now being acknowledged, I think it's empowering our patients to be steering their own rehab journey and having a louder voice. Some of them will be able to afford to buy devices, and often the patients who are Googling and looking things up are discovering things, and they often know more than the treating therapists, because technology, particularly sadly in the NHS, isn't readily available, but globally there's loads and loads of different devices. So I think the voice of the patient is much more powerful in this rehab journey, and we need to help empower them to keep driving that forward, because we now know people can recover and people do get better after brain injury, and there is fun and fantastic quality of life things that people can do living with brain injury, and I think that's a really key message for the future.